You might know Mark Cuban as a billionaire, the owner of the Dallas Mavericks, or that guy on Shark Tank. But what about if I told you you should know him as the guy making medicine cheaper? The Mark Cuban Cost Plus Drug Company is challenging how we buy medication. The billionaire entrepreneur teams up with co-founder Alexander Oshmiansky to take on Big Pharma overcharging for prescription medication. The Cost Plus Drug Company is an online pharmacy selling hundreds of generic drugs at near cost. The company strives itself on transparent pricing, something long overdue in the pharmaceutical industry. Their billing is simple. Take the manufacturing costs, charge a 15% markup, $3 for pharmacy fees, and add $5 shipping charge. So what's Cost Plus Drugs doing differently? What they are is a specialty pharmacy.
Specialty pharmacies where we'll be able to take drugs that were in high demand but were in short supply and reduce those prices. And I was like, that's a great idea, but let's see if we can make it more mainstream.
To understand how Cost Plus Drugs is making medication cheaper, you have to understand why it's expensive in the first place.
Big Pharma.
Or more specifically, pharmacy benefit managers.
And then when they finally ring you up, they tell you how much the drug costs and how much your insurance covered. PBMs negotiated that price. You've probably heard of the big three, Express Scripts, Optum Rx, and CVS Caremark. They are owned by or have merged with large insurance companies. PBMs take a lot of heat from drug companies and politicians for being nothing more than middlemen.
You can think of pharmacy benefit managers as a third-party entity designed to negotiate with pharma companies on behalf of insurance and employers to reduce the price of drugs. The negotiation is over rebates, which is what the pharma company pays to the PBM. Oftentimes, the PBM takes a portion of the rebate and then passes on part of it to the employer or insurance company. These rebates are at the heart of price increases in the pharma industry and are frequently debated on why these payments exist and the need for a middleman in the first place.
Howard Jacobson has been a pharmacist in Long Island, New York for 40 years. He says the PBM dictates the amount of the copay he collects and how much he's reimbursed.
It's an inexpensive drug. You see, the actual cost of the medicine is only $1.61.
Jacobson showed us a recent transaction for the diabetes drug metformin. It cost him $1.61 to acquire the patient's dose. He says if the patient paid out of pocket, he would have sold it to them for $4. His profit would have been $2.39. But the patient used an insurance plan, and there was a middleman, the PBM. It told Jacobson to charge a $10.84 copay. It let him keep $1.93. And it took $8.91 for itself.
Put simply, Cost Plus Drugs is solving this issue by completely circumventing the middleman in insurance companies by operating on a cash-only model. Customers can't use insurance to buy the medication at Mark Cuban's company. Therefore, the PBMs have nothing to negotiate on and are not a part of the transaction, thus reducing costs significantly. But it's not just the pharmacy benefit managers and insurance companies causing the increase in prescription medication. The blame also sits on the pharma companies themselves. Watch how US Representative Katie Porter grilled the former CEO of Celgene over the large price hike for Revlimid, a common cancer drug. Meanwhile, his personal bonus grew exponentially.
How did the drug improve? If I were to look at a pill and analyze it from 2005 when it cost $215 and I was looked today at when it cost $763, would that pill be the same?
I understand your question about the pill. The pill, the manufacturing for it would be the same.
Great, thank you. So to put that in perspective, you hiked the price by $500 when the average Orange County senior only has $528 left in their bank account.
Martin Shkreli became the poster child of greed when in 2015, his company raised the price of an old parasitic drug called Daraprim from $13 to $750 a pill. You could argue that Martin has built up a character as a necessary evil in the pharma industry.
Greed, for lack of a better word, is good.
It's not like I'm surprising and saying I'd do it again. Everybody's doing it. In capitalism, you try to get the highest price that you can for a product.
I ask you, doctors have come out saying that you guys need to revise your pricing strategy because patients can't get access to these drugs. This HIV doc I just spoke with said they're trying to hoard it in order to provide it. Do you feel badly about what's happening?
No, in fact, we're increasing access to patients, Mag. I think that
You know, we're dramatically increasing the access to Daraprim, lowering co-pays, giving more drug away for free. Half of the drug we give away is for $1. So I'm not sure what you're talking about.
So what does Martin have to do with Mark's company? You can argue they are on complete polar opposites of the pharma billing equation. Martin's view can be summarized that by increasing drug prices while ensuring those that require these drugs can afford it through insurance or other programs, pharma companies can increase revenue, which can be put back into research and development to ultimately produce a better net result. Mark Cuban's view can be summarized that PBMs have made drugs so unaffordable even with insurance that it's better off removing them from the equation and buying generics with cash. Martin's view may have some merit. As Mark's company sells generics, they aren't contributing to finding new medical solutions, and it's important for companies that spend billions on research to eventually recoup that money.
I've been getting a lot of messages about Mark Cuban's drug company. The first thing is it's not a drug company. Mark Cuban doesn't make drugs. He just buys drugs from generic companies. And I've been in the generic drug business for a long time, so I can tell you that it's a very cutthroat business with very low margins. So is pharmacy. So I actually did a deep dive into Mark Cuban's website where I saw these exaggerated claims of cost savings. So one example is Gleevec. Gleevec is a drug that's been generic for a while, and Cuban's site claims that it's $2,000 or $9,000 for a month of medicine. But if you just go to GoodRx, you'll see that his competitors are actually at $100. So it's really a misleading claim. And again, I would caution anybody making misleading claims. You know, I recently spent some time in federal prison for doing something like that. So ultimately, I think it's important to actually show what your real competitor's pricing is. So he does seem to have a good cost advantage on Gleevec, even with the smoke and mirrors. It's about 50% or 60%. But it's not the 99% cost savings. Every other drug I looked into on Cuban's website wasn't any cheaper than any of his competitors. So he seems to have one kind of like story that attracts people to the website, and that's for a very rarely used drug. And most patients have insurance for that drug where copays are actually zero. So there are very, very few people that would benefit from Mark Cuban's online pharmacy.
There is anecdotal evidence that cost plus drugs works. One of many examples we can see is Reddit posts from customers that stated they could purchase their medications cheaper through Mark Cuban's company rather than going through insurance. You can see similar results from commenters on other social media such as Facebook, and you can also see reviews of people that did not see a benefit of using Mark's company. We should see Martin's critique regarding the lack of important drugs on the site become less relevant as Cost Plus adds more medication as they expand.
Nevertheless, I wish him luck. I think, you know, the problem that he's going to have is that he doesn't have any buying power that he can use to extract prices any better from any other generic company, you know, given that he's a brand new player and quite small. So I don't see how he can sort of get the buying power he's going to need to be able to negotiate prices any better than, say, Walgreens or CVS, who have extreme buying power. Now, there's other companies that are doing online pharmacy. There's Genius RX, there's Good RX, there's DI. There's a whole bunch of companies that do this exact thing. They have the same business model, they have the same mission statement, they have the same exact sort of ethos and credo, and they've been around longer. But I think the one thing that Cuban's doing that's really kind of gross to me is sort of cherry picking the wrong prices. Good RX does this too, so I can't say the blame is only on him. But to me, if you want to really be transparent, which is I guess what he's saying he is, then I would compare my price to the other competitive pharmaceutical prices, or pharmacy prices, I should say. Not the ones that are just simply the old brand drug price or something like that. Nobody's using that anymore. So I think it's really disingenuous. And again, I've seen a lot of this sort of Mark Cuban saving my life type of messaging. And again, it would be great if he does do that. Maybe he can use his fortune to lower prices by contributing personally to a lower price. But I suspect that, you know, to the extent he wants to be in business sustainably without coming out of his own pocket, I don't think he's going to be able to do that in the long run.
Mark Cuban seems to have an answer for Martin's skepticism. They've since launched their own pharmacy benefit manager to compete with the big ones under a similar motto reminiscent of Google's old "Don't Be Evil" motto. Even better, the Cost Plus drug company is currently building their own pharmaceutical manufacturing plant, which will mean for many drugs, they don't have to negotiate with anyone else. Lastly, and maybe the biggest point to why Mark Cuban's name is plastered all over the site, is that he's really rich, and he doesn't need this company to be very profitable.
Your trash talking was so good you actually dropped an F-bomb before the game here when I interviewed you, and so I've just been informed that you've actually been fined $15,000. And it's okay though, because it's going to a good cause. It's going to Cyber Smile. Do you take back the F-bomb, or you're standing by it?
So if I say it again, I have to pay another $15K?
Hey, you want to up it to $30,000?
Okay. Yeah, there's two parts to that, right? Why doesn't someone else do what we do?
Exactly.
Yeah, and in the past they have tried, but what ends up happening is those big pharma companies just buy them. It's like, you guys know as an entrepreneur, right? If someone walks in and says, 200 million, deal? They're going, yep, we'll take it, and that's how you
control it.
Then they just
so that's
control
happened
it.
in the past?
Yeah.
Really?
But my next dollar is not going to change my life, and I get a lot more enjoyment just f***ing them up.
So what do you think? Can Mark Cuban really make medicine cheaper?